This is a very interesting native tree that we have. I'll just give you a second to see if you can identify it. So it has these shiny, waxy leaves. They're very smooth around the edges. If I were to tell you that this is the same tree as, say, this is, these are, might give it away. So this is a holly tree, and this is more what we expect a holly leaf to look like. The spikes around the edges. But really, these spikes are just a defense mechanism that the holly tree uses. They're not always there. So this particular tree is very big for a holly tree. It's a substantial looking tree. So by this stage, it doesn't need to be as protective of itself. So even though its lower leaves are still quite spiky, the upper ones, so you can see these that are hanging down from above, there's hardly any spikes on those because there's no need for it. In Ireland anyway, there's no animals that are going to be able to reach up that high for those leaves. And it's important that holly does this because it's after putting a lot of effort into keeping that waxy coat on its leaf surface, and that keeps the water in, so they're actually really tasty, full of water for animals. Just to show you, because I've spotted a baby holly. It's got very spiky leaves. It's only a hand's length really, so that could easily be wiped out in one go by a deer. So they have to protect themselves at that stage. And similarly, this tree is older. It's got a very thick stem, but it's been chopped by people. So when that happens, when it's cut back like that, it'll respond by getting even more defensive. So you can see this tree has incredibly spiky leaves. And that's the same if holly is grown in a hedgerow and it's cut back every year, it'll just be more defensive. So that's why they're the more typical leaves that you might see and identify with holly. An important thing to know about the holly tree is that it's dioecious. Dioecious means that it has separate male and female trees. So some trees have both male and female flowers on the one tree, whereas the holly has separate female trees that have female flowers and berries, and male trees that just have male flowers. So if you want to grow a lovely native holly tree in your garden and you want those lovely red berries every Christmas, you want to make sure that it's a female tree that you have in the garden and that there's a nearby male tree. If you have a male tree within 200 meters of your female tree, the bees will make sure that tree is pollinated for you. So the bees are supported by the trees in that they get nectar from both male and female holly flowers, and then the trees are supported by the bees because their pollen is being transferred, they become fertilised, and the female trees can then grow their red berries. And then the birds, such as the blackbird and the mistle thrush, the song thrush and wood pigeons, very similar to ivy, eat those berries and depend upon them and spread the holly seeds around for the holly tree. What I would suggest at this time of year is holly being the best tree to try to grow yourself. So holly can be grown from cuttings rather than seeds. It's quite difficult to grow holly from seeds just because the berries actually prevent the seed from germinating too early, and they're designed to be passed through the digestive system of the birds before they can grow in the ground. So for that reason, it's easier to take cuttings, and this is the perfect time of year to do it. Now I'm looking to make a cutting from a stem that's at least the thickness of a pencil, but that I can still cut through with my secateurs. So I think this is the one here that I'm going to go for. I also need some side shoots, like these. And I want to cut above, you can see side shoot here. I'm going to cut just above that. And I'm going to cut below another one. Alright. Now I'm just going to cut off the side shoot. Okay, and I'm going to take this home to plant as a cutting. So this is my male holly cutting. Okay, and here we are, just 100 metres down the path. You can see the beautiful red berries of the female holly. So I'm going to take a cutting. Again, I'm looking for one that's at least pencil thickness. I want to cut below a side shoot. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure to get some berries on there as well, and I'll shorten it down till it's just about 30 centimetres and below a leaf. So taking one little stalk like that from a fully grown holly tree like this one won't do any harm to it, because it's the correct time of year to do this. So you want to do it during the winter, where the tree, even though it's an evergreen, it does get slightly harder, the stems harden, so it's the perfect time to do this, and it's less likely to get a fungus or for any disease to get into the end that you've cut.